Welcome to the January webinar. Go ahead, Paul. Hi, I started my welcome before we had the introductory slides, but Paul was right there on board to do that. So thank you very much, Paul. So welcome to the January webinar, Taking the Next Step Together, Support Groups for Climate Action. Today, we're going to explore the possibility of forming support groups for anybody who wants to reinforce and make visible their desire to address climate change. You care. You are here with us because you care about creation, and it's a central part of your discipleship. As you know, our church declared a climate emergency, and the leadership is now encouraging all of us to do our part in helping to heal the earth. Many of you already started the journey, taking steps to decrease the energy you use and promote wise stewardship of land, resources, and life in all its varied forms. But you don't have to do it alone. You can connect and communicate with others who are also wanting to affirm the flourishing of all life. The North American Climate Justice Team started as a result of a lunchtime conversation at the 2019 World Conference of Community of Christ. Several of us sitting together around the lunch table began sharing our concerns about the climate crisis and rising carbon emissions. Each of us spoke with passion and concern, and as a result, we decided to stay in touch and get together periodically by Zoom to share further. Rod Downing said he'd send out a link to all of us. And so, without thinking about it, without getting permission or establishing any formal organization, we became a support group. A support group, loosely defined, is any group of 3 or more people with a mutual interest or purpose who are willing to commit to meeting together on a regular basis. So Rachie mentioned at our last webinar how important it is to have a buddy when you want to take action to make a difference. That's what a support group does. It provides buddies for encouragement and for ideas, for research, and for support. It doesn't have to be called a support group. It can be called an interest group, a discussion group, discernment group, green team, action group, sustainability group, environmental group, even a book club or video club. They all are supporting one another. I want to share with you the process we're going to use today for our exploration into this. But first, Joan Thompson is going to help you remember your own passion and skills for mitigating climate change. Joan, over to you.
Thanks, Susan. As a team, we keep coming back to this concept of using a Venn diagram to help find clarity around action choices. There can be so many voices and so many needs, all clamoring for our attention at the same time. We can end up overwhelmed into inaction. Perhaps you already know what your preferred action group is, but for many of us, it may not yet be clear. Before we explore the various group options, we want to take a few minutes for each of us to identify some of our own uniqueness in 3 specific areas. Then open ourselves, get the right page here. My computer malfunctioned. Then open ourselves to the Spirit to see more clearly our current call or action invitation. You'll notice that the Venn diagram you see before you is very neat, symmetrical, and orderly. It gives equal weight to 3 and only 3 aspects of our lives that we can look at to help us get a sense of what kinds of action will suit us best. However, in real life, a more representative Venn diagram might look more like this. Life and calling can be complex. There are always more than just 3 factors to look at, such as the time we have available and our other commitments. In your life, not all of the 3 factors we're talking about today will carry equal weight in your decision. But for our purposes, we want to spend just a couple of minutes reflecting on each of these 3 pivotal aspects in identifying what our unique gifts, passions, and circumstances have to say about where we may be called to action. So we're going to spend about 2 minutes each in reflecting on these 3 aspects of our lives. You may prefer to sit and journal your thoughts, or you may wish to close your eyes and meditate on each question. Whatever works best for you. Let's begin now by taking a few deep breaths, quieting the chatter in our minds, and opening ourselves to honest reflection on these questions. If you were to summarize for someone else your skills, aptitudes, and interests in just 1 or 2 sentences, what would it be? What is it that you do best, that you gravitate towards? What types of situations and activities bring you joy? I often think that this may be the most important question for us to ask ourselves, and the one we tend to spend the least time considering. So what is it? What activities bring you joy? There's no shortage of needs and areas where we could invest our time and energy. But some call to us more than others. Some weigh more heavily on your mind and heart. But what is it that pops into your mind most frequently, or that calls you the most? Once you have a sense of the answer to these three questions, it becomes easier to identify one or perhaps a few action items that you are called to. The intersection of these three summaries is where our next action steps will become apparent. So thank you for your willingness to spend time in reflection on these crucial questions. Susan will now guide us through what will happen in the rest of our time today as we explore various possibilities for group participation. Between now and the January 28th session, we invite you to spend more time in reflection on these three questions. What is the Spirit's call or invitation to you this year? Susan, over to you.
Thank you, Joan. So today you'll have an opportunity to explore 3 different support groups of your choice to see if you're interested. We're going to begin with a quick introduction. This is it. And we'll look at some possible topics of interest that the team has put together for your consideration. Now, these are just possibilities. We're going to give you a chance to vote on which ones are most important to you. So what support do you need? Are you struggling with eco-grief and despair? Are you looking for practical action steps? Do you want to start a green team in your congregation or other organization? Are you interested in climate advocacy or looking for a way to engage in direct, nonviolent action? Are you concerned about biodiversity and habitat preservation? Would you like to raise awareness or practice talking about climate change in a safe environment? Are you interested in forming a book club or video club about climate issues? So the climate team has identified these 7 broad categories of possible interest groups, but these are only examples. We tried to include a lot of ideas and cluster them under general categories. But if you don't see a heading that fits with your passion or interest, please write it in the chat box. And in order to facilitate the process of exploration, we will use the sample categories that we have here for our process today. But we will collect the additional ideas you provide and take them into account for our next webinar on January 28th for exploring support or interest groups. Today, we'll provide breakout rooms with a team facilitator and a specific topic to explore. We have 7 possible topics, but 2 will be clustered into one breakout room. And we have the other category, as you saw in the previous slide. Choose your breakout room where you can discuss the topic with like-minded people and see how it fits. When the time is up, return to the main room. Then you'll have a chance to enter another support group, another breakout room on a different topic, and check it out. When the time is up, return to the main room again. Then explore a third possibility, a third interest, a new breakout room. Now you've sampled 3 different possibilities for connecting with others on different topics. When the third breakout room is completed, return to the main room. Well, now, while all this is going on, back in the main room, for those who aren't interested in any of the topics or have an interest that's not listed, you can stay in the main room for a discussion. Also, anyone not interested in support groups of any kind can remain in the main room. Your voice and opinion is valuable, and we need to hear from you, even if you don't want to join a support team. Those of you who've sampled 3 breakout room topics, and the others as well, can then re-enter the breakout room that is your top choice. That will be the 4th breakout option. We hope you'll have discovered which of the 3 you're most interested in. And there you can discuss with others the possibility of actually creating a support group among the participants. We'll give you an opportunity to meet again on January 28th in a second webinar designed to facilitate your further exploration. Now remember, we are here to help. If you express an interest, you aren't locked in. Today we're just exploring. You're free to join, leave, transform, or alter any group you might choose. Also, be aware that not all interest groups or sustainability teams are equal. If you want to explore with others the best electric vehicle, for instance, that you want to buy, then your interest group may only meet a few times and you'll be done. And then you can join some other group if you wish. On the other hand, if you're interested in forming a sustainability team to investigate how to transform your office or work environment into an environmentally sound workplace with a small carbon footprint, it's going to take months of planning and possibly a year or more to implement the plan. So not all of the teams will meet for the same length of time. The climate team is here to help you. We aren't here to organize for you, but to empower you to create support networks that best fit your own needs. We can provide organizational guidelines for any group that wants them. For instance, if you want to join a support group of people who would like to form a green team in their congregation to make the building and programming more ecologically friendly, we can provide some steps for creating green teams. However, if you want to put a heat pump in your house, we would give you a different tool and suggest a plan for researching. If you want to begin influencing legislators to create eco-friendly and eco-just laws and building codes, we can provide some suggestions for you. And although we can provide some steps in organization, we aren't dictating how any support group should go. And we can't supply Zoom links or personally run all the interest teams. The people who bond together around a common interest are the ones who decide what their group looks like and how to proceed. You are all skilled, intelligent, and capable individuals, and our job is to empower you. Your ongoing participation doesn't require our presence. Once our January webinars are over, you are the leaders in control of your next steps, and we're simply here to support and help you. We can also help by being a link for communications. We'll have a bulletin board or something similar where you can post your meeting dates and times. You can join more than one group. You can find a new interest if you're finished exploring the first possibility. And we'd like to hear back from you. What are you doing? How's it going? But I'm getting ahead of myself. That's the process we're going to use today. Let's look at those possible topics of common interest that can form the basis of a support group. As I present these, begin asking yourself, which of these are you most interested in? prioritize them so you'll be ready to vote, so we can find out which ones are most important to the webinar participants as a whole. Here are 8 general areas of interest that we've prepared for today, 7 broad topics, with other as the 8th category. And we've combined how to talk about climate change and the book and video club into one, just for today. Each of the 7, or actually 6, covers a wide variety of topics, and so that means there's an infinite number of support teams or interest groups that could be created. For now, just take note of the major areas that appeal to you the most and see if one or more of these sample categories captures your particular area of interest or expertise. If not, please be sure to write into the chats what's missing, because these are not in any particular order and they're not all-inclusive. So, eco-anxiety, spirit, and hope. Would you like to be able to share your anxiety about the climate crises and work with others toward discovering hope together? Our awareness of climate crisis and sense of urgency can foster hopelessness. This support group would provide a compassionate space to think about how terrifying things are, but also offer one another reasons for hope. Together, we can face the climate reality with a strong spirit and combat the fear, apathy, and fatalism that can weigh us down. Personal lifestyle changes. Many of you are already making changes in your lifestyle to help decrease your carbon footprint and be a wiser steward of your resources. This is a support group for people who are ready to do something but don't know what, or for those who've already made some changes in their life but want to do more. Would you like to change in community of Christ? Would you like to respond to the climate emergency by helping your congregation or mission center be more ecologically aware? Would you like to make a support group for greening your congregation, campground, or organization? Anyone who's interested in creating a resolution for the next World Conference may be able to find like-minded people here, but these are just examples. This might be a good time to mention that distance will play a part in how your support group functions. If there are several people in your sample group who want to form a green team, for instance, to help your congregation, campground, or other organization, church or not, cut back on carbon emissions, plastics, and waste, the other members of the interest group are not the members of your green team because they probably don't belong to the same congregation. But you can support each other as you work locally to recruit and pull together a green team within your congregation. You can compare notes, encourage each other, listen and respond to the struggles that occur, and celebrate the successes. Each focus group will have to figure out what support you can and can't give to each other. It takes courage and wisdom to join a march, protest, or rally for climate mitigation, and you don't want to go into it alone or without good support. Here's a support group to get information and begin researching how to be engaged in nonviolent direct action. It's also where you would go if you want to have a voice in legislative proposals and create change through the letters, emails, and petitions that can help provide encouragement and support for those legislative actions. So you do that in this support group. The threat of species extinction is directly linked to the destruction and changes in habitats. If you want to advocate for biodiversity, preserve habitats, and combat extinction trends, this is a support group for you. Habitats you might be interested in would include old-growth forests, wetlands, lakes and rivers, oceans, and Arctic biomes. How to talk about climate change. Katharine Hayhoe says the most important thing you can do to create change and climate deterioration is to talk about it. Here's a support group for people who want to review how to talk to others about climate change and engage in gentle conversation with others. It will be combined with this next one, Climate Book and Video Club, because there's some similarities between those two. Would you like to study a book or explore quality videos about climate issues? Investigate this support group to create a book club or video club centered on climate change and environmental issues. And finally, what support are you looking for that we haven't named? Do you want to steer clear of exploring support groups at all at this time? In that case, don't choose any of the breakout rooms. Just stay with Joan Thompson in the main room for now, and she will lead you in a discussion while others are exploring their 3 top interests. Joan, would you please lead us in our polling process before we go to the breakout rooms?
Sure. Thanks, Susan. Remember, we asked you to pray for us for this technology. Well, this is where we're experimenting. We want to run a poll, which we'll launch in just a moment, and you will have a chance to vote for your 3 topics that you're most interested in. This will help us to get a sense of where the biggest part of the group interest lies, but it'll also help you to see, how many other people may be interested in the topics that you're interested in. Because we're going to explore the groups 3 different times, there may be a large number of people that want to explore, say their top interest is lifestyle changes, but they may, some will go in number 1 and some will go in the second and some will go in the third. So you may be left feeling after you've been in the 3 groups that nobody else wants to do what you do. So we're going to launch the poll now. Go ahead and it would help if I got it up. Go ahead and vote for 3. You'll have a full minute to vote, to change your mind, and then we'll display the results. And if everything goes well, I'll be able to launch it. So the poll is open and you can vote now.
Are we voting just for 3?
Yes.
And there's no penalty if you vote for 2 or 4, just saying. But the idea is to vote for your top 3. If you're only interested in 2, only vote for 2. If you're only interested in 1, just vote for 1.
I only saw one choice, or there's 2 choices, and I scrolled up and didn't see anything else, so I pushed submit. So is there supposed to be?
You should be seeing 6 different choices.
Get out of that and see if the poll comes up on your screen.
Get out of what?
Polls. Did you click on polls?
I just saw a screen. I don't know. Maybe that was my problem. I just see you. I don't see.
Okay. I think once you've submitted it, I don't know of a way to
go back
into
okay.
it.
Well,
So I apologize.
That's okay.
You can write your top 3 in the chat if you'd like, and we'll add those in our own thinking, but it won't show up on the poll today.
I'm trying to remember them all.
Well, the results are going to come up in a minute and you should see them all when the results come up. So I'm not seeing any more activity. I think that, oh, wait a minute. Some of you are still voting, but I think we're going to go ahead and close the poll in 10 seconds. So I'll count it down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Polls are closed. And now if all goes well, you'll be able to see the results. Hopefully you've got a pop-up window that's showing you that the number one biggest choice was personal lifestyle choices. The second one was biodiversity and habitat. And the third one was eco-anxiety. Oh, wait a minute, I'm only seeing 5 of the 6. Let me make sure.
The third one is how to talk about climate change and the
Right,
hook.
right.
It's
So-
tied with biodiversity and habitat.
Yes. But there's significant interest in all of the topics. So I'm going to take that down. I don't know how well we'll see that in the recording. And now we're ready to go into our breakout rooms. If all goes well, the breakout rooms will open in the next minute. Again, there's 6. You're going to have 3 chances to just explore breakout rooms. You'll have 6 minutes for the exploration, at least for the first time. When you come back, you can tell Dean if it was too long or not long enough, and we can make some slight adjustments in the timing for the second and the third. And you can choose whichever one you go into. If you get into one and you decide, I'm not interested in it, you can get out and go back to the main room and then choose another one. And for those of you who want to add different topics or just have a general discussion, I will be staying in the main room. So I'm going to open the breakout rooms now. That was not quite long enough. And so I think we'll make the next one a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I did not have the option to record probably because the main screen is still recording. I don't know if other people did or not, but I did not have the record function this time.
Okay. The record went off in the main room. We weren't recording in the main room. But I'm going to make the next breakout longer.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that everybody's back, and I hope you got some value out of that. We had a substantial number of people who had challenges getting into a room.
Yep.
And so I'm hoping that the second time that it'll go a little more smoothly. If when I open the room you do not see the choice, an invitation to join breakout rooms, if you're on a computer, there's generally 3 dots at the bottom right of your screen. So if you see an icon that says breakout rooms, that's great, just click it. If you don't, click the 3 dots and that'll bring up a list of icons and you can click breakout rooms. I don't know on the iPhone or the iPad what you need to do. So if there's somebody here that was able to get into a breakout room from an iPhone or an iPad and wants to share their knowledge with the rest of the group, that would be great.
I found the button on the top left side.
Top
There's
left?
4 boxes and it said join breakout room.
Okay, and that's an iPhone?
Yes.
Okay. So let's try it again. If you decide you want to go back into the same group, you're welcome to do that, or you can try a different group this time. So this is number 2. We're going to open the rooms now.
Your reunion as well. That's something that
Beautiful.
they are very interested in, is talking about these things at reunion. Mhm.
Well, I can be there to help that through. Thank you.
That
Thank you,
would be
Mike.
wonderful. Wonderful.
So I think we have everyone back now after your second breakout group. And hopefully that was a little bit longer and you had a chance to explore what you wanted to explore. More of you were able to get in quickly into your group, so that's great. Seems like every time we do this, it becomes a little easier. And somebody, Mary Williams, took notes. Bless you, Mary Williams, for taking notes. Thank you. So now is our third and final chance to just explore before you pick one to go in for a little longer. So we'll stick with
Joan,
Excuse me,
excuse me,
Joan.
Susan is raising her hand.
Okay, Susan.
Excuse me, Joan. At least one of our participants did not have an option. They could either stay in the main room or they had to go back in the first one that they were part of. So I'm going to just suggest that anybody who finds they only have one option, that's to go back into the previous one or stay in the main room, stay in the main room and see if Joan can help you get into the other one that you want. Thank you, Joan.
And if you do stay in the main room, wave your hand at me so I know that you're somebody who's looking for help in getting into a room. So we're going to open up the groups one more time. Last chance to experiment.
With the second and third go arounds, it was much better. Of course, I had very small groups, and which I'm encouraged by. There are fewer people feeling paralyzed by their anxiety, and more people ready to, I guess, engage in some of the other groups. So, or even those who joined my group, they're really wanting to know what can I do to help others deal with their sense of hopelessness. So,
Okay. So that's helpful for me to know. Thanks.
yeah.
So it looks like everybody's back now. I'm learning how to read these screens. All the groups have returned. So thank you everyone for being willing to experiment with us. Before you pick your final group, I do want to update you on a couple of the ideas that came out of the other group. One was to talk about how to get younger people involved in climate action. And that might be a small support group that researched that and learned some strategies to teach the rest of us how to get younger people involved in groups like this and in climate action. And another one was talking about the people in the Pacific Islands in terms of the dire issues that they're facing, and also the how to help them, but also the fact that the world may be inundated pretty fast with climate refugees. So that was another possible topic. So we're going to go into our last breakout group of the day. This is the one where the intent is that if there's a group you want to stay with, and rather than just be introduced to it this time, be able to put in your input into what part of this major topic you're most interested in. I hope I've summed that up correctly. We're going to go into those groups now. This will be our longest group of the day. Even with the countdown, you should be able to see that 60-second countdown, but with that countdown, you'll have 11 minutes in this group. So let's do it once more. And you guys are doing really well at getting into the groups, even though the technology sometimes is really messing you up. So I'm opening them now.
a lot of younger people, don't have time because they're either working 4 jobs or they've got a job and a family. And so if they're interested in climate issues, but what they need is a concrete task. So if this group could come up with some sort of list of tasks or lists of groups that have like regular ongoing things, like if you're interested in, say, beach cleanup, you go to you can partner up with a particular group or what have you, because talking about it is one thing, but some people just are like, okay, I would like something to do, what can I do? And like change your whole lifestyle isn't something that can be incorporated into their life necessarily, but go help out once a month at some location, or talk to your grandchildren or talk to your nieces or talk to your aunts and uncles about specific topics might help people to engage more readily, because it's a more concrete thing they can do rather than just, oh, hey, think about climate.
Yes, totally. Ding, 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 ding.
Thanks,
Excellent.
Erica, for sharing that. Yeah, that's a great place for the group to start. And I want to thank everybody. Everybody's back now for participating with us in this exploration session. And I'm going to turn it over now to Lori.
So I would like to ask the question, because we wanted to make sure that because of our time, I wanted to make sure that we leave enough time for what Dean needs to do. Do you want to skip this little piece, or just I'll make a really quick invitation here?
I'd love to hear your quick invitation.
Yeah, so my quick invitation is, we won't make room for it right now, but really when you turn off your screen, if you don't have to rush off to something else, to sit back and take a breath and go back to the Venn diagram. What brings me joy? What are my skills? And what are the needs I see? And then to take that intersection into prayer, into listening, into feeling between now and January 28th, 1 or 2 places where you would really like to bring your presence and to be in community with other persons who have the same kinds of passions that have been expressed today. If you're not able to be here on the 28th, to make sure that you reach out to someone else, let us know kind of where your heart's going. There's a real temptation to go, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. I can feel that in myself. So using that Venn diagram and that place that shows you where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. And though we won't have time to share that, I invite you to journaling. I invite you to find someone else to express that to. I invite you to come back on the 28th, where we try to flesh this out. And in the meantime, turning it on over to Dean.
All right. So Paul, if you could bring up, you've heard already a few times that we're going to then have a follow-up session on January 28th, where we hope you will all come back and maybe even recruit others who you know and think might be interested in actually getting involved in some work. Our goal is to create a space on the 28th for all of you to select a particular area that you are interested in working more on, and even perhaps taking leadership in organizing. One of our goals is to extend the reach of this effort beyond our particular control, certainly, or even hands-on as a climate justice team. We can't certainly do it all, and we need many hands to begin to expand the work, extend the effect that's possible from all of the learning that we've all been doing over the last several years. So please come back, and we'll be between now and then taking in all that we've heard today and thinking about how best to structure that time so that it's most effective for all of you as you participate. Go to the next slide, if you would, Paul. If we had time, I had thought about asking someone from each of the groups to talk about what they had heard. I don't think we've got time for that right now. But if you could just be thinking, what did you discuss that you, in the group you finally selected, need help with? If you were to try to bring a group of people together and take action in the particular interest area that you have. And what can we as a team bring to that discussion on the 28th that would be most of value to you? And I'd like to even take a minute now if anybody has further suggestions. I know Joan's been taking some notes from the discussion that's gone on in the main room. But we want you to know we're wanting you to feel empowered to take control of whatever effort and initiative you deem of value and interest to you, and that we're available to help. And we'll have some tools to provide to the various interest groups that we've accumulated to help in that process. Anybody? Let's just take the slide down for a minute here. I just want to hear, what is it that this team can bring to that meeting on the 28th that would be most helpful? Just some quick popcorn thoughts about that.
You can sign me up as a leader for the young people's group.
All right. No problem. Other thoughts quickly?
Make a list.
Make a list.
Make a list of things that you think that you're already doing that you can pass on the ideas to somebody else.
Okay. And I noticed in the
Will
chat. Go ahead.
will that information, those lists that you're talking about, then be on the website for other folks to have access to and utilize?
We can do that. I will have some discussion about how to best get those lists of possible interest groups available after this meeting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Perhaps maybe some type of survey where you could say, you know, what types of things is your, there was a lot of interesting congregational things and also reunion things that could be done to streamline or be more eco-friendly. So perhaps some type of a survey monkey or something put together to send out, and then people could reply with a narrative about, well, this is what our congregation is doing, or something like that.
Right. And we have begun to assemble some of those materials. So that's helpful, Mary. Thank you.
We actually have a survey of what you can do to make your congregation or your campground a greener, more ecologically sound facility. So we already have a list like that.
It's on the website.
I don't think so. It's one that has been provided by the Earth Stewardship team at World Church, and I downloaded it, and we can make it available to you because sometimes it's hard to find on the church website.
Yeah, we talked about that. And somebody else mentioned Intergroup Power and Light, that they have some wonderful things where you can assess
We have some
your
of their
congregation.
we have some of their resources that we can give you also.
Yeah, and so it would be
Yeah,
great.
if you
'cause
could
I
pass
know
those on, that would be good.
a lot of us are not computer savvy really good. So if there was also some type of a brochure or a hard copy, because as we know, our congregation population is aging, and so it's not always the easiest format to get on the computer. It can be challenging, or if you have disabilities, or even just problems getting internet.
That's a good point. We'll think about how to make that possible. Okay, I'm gonna let's go to the you got the next slide up. Just reiterating what our topic for January 28th is. So just a reminder, that's what we're going to do on the 28th. And then the last slide, I think, is looking beyond that to what we hope to be doing in February. We have a great speaker from Canada East who will be talking about grassroots organizing for a sustainable water future.
Mm.
And of course, water is going to be significant in our survival.
Yes.
That's what we've got. And with that, I think I'm going to thank all of you for being with us today. Hope that this has energized you to think about what you can do to get to take action and to join with others in propagating what we've been trying to promote through our webinars. And we will hopefully see you on the 28th and also on the February meeting on forgotten the date of that one. February 25th. Thanks very much, all. Appreciate your time being here.